All right, cool. Let's get things rolling. Welcome everybody. Sure we'll have people kind of streaming in the next couple minutes, but I figure we might as well get with the intro here. This is a really exciting one. I'm sure most of the people who have joined this webinar or signed up for it have heard before of Log Growth Machine. And it's just an incredible tool that integrates really well with Clay. It's really solid for hybrid campaigns, especially. I feel like we're always talking about Instantly and Smartly for email or tools like HeyReach for LinkedIn, but like Growth Machine is an incredible tool for doing both simultaneously in one campaign. And coincidentally, it also integrates quite well with Clay. It has all the same personalization features as the Smart Lead or the Instantly integrations do. And it's just does a really good job of sending out LinkedIn messages at scale while also still remaining pretty solid and on the deliverability side as well for email, which is just great. I mean, it's really one of the, I'd say one of like the forefront tools for doing hybrid campaigns. And so in this one, I'm going to intro Brice Maurin. He is the founder of Like Growth Machine, and he is going to walk us through an incredible flow that he has built out, just kind of just showing how you can obviously use Clay to personalize your outbound, which we've seen a lot before in the webinars before, but then connecting it to Like Growth Machine and building a custom outreach campaign that uses a couple different forms of outreach to eventually get to your prospects. So without further ado, hello, Brice. Feel free to go ahead and share us this spectacular flow of yours.
Hey, Patrick. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And thanks for the introduction, Patrick. So as Patrick explained, La Grosse Machine, if some of you didn't try already, is the #1 multi-channel sales automation platform. You can automate LinkedIn, email, Twitter, and the phone, the calls, both everything on the same platform. I'll show you a few specificities and during the demo, but if you have any use case that you want to see discussed, feel free to use the chat and I'll stop talking and try to reply as soon as possible. Yes, French accent. Sorry for the French accent. Yes, I'm French. So, as Patrick explained, I wanted to show you our use case. So we are La Grosse Machine. Internally, we call ourselves LGM. It's shorter and nicer. And one of our key targets are the agencies. Agencies are using us to increase their retention because using multi-channel and a few things that we can do with LGM, including sending LinkedIn voice messages, for example, or even personalizing the voice message with AI to change, to clone your voice and things like this, you can get more replies. In average, you get approximately 20% replies when you do campaigns using those channels. So agencies are using us because they get more replies for their clients, and so they increase their retention. And what we understand is that when you are an agency, retention on outreach and sales automation services is quite hard to get, and so that's one of the reasons they like us. So I like agencies because they like us. And two, I also like German people because German people tend to stay more and spend more. So today I want to get more German agencies doing sales automation services. And that's what I will show you. Well, I'm not good at where can you share the I can
So
share.
there's the big share screen on the bottom.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so I'll share my screen. What I will do is explain you what I did. Can you reply in the chat? Who among you are already using Clay or using LGM or using both? That could help me customize my speech accordingly. In this use case, yeah, Patrick? No?
All right, couple LGMs, couple Clays. Seems to be pretty mixed.
Okay.
Definitely a lot of both.
Like a lot of both. Okay, cool. So in this case, as I told you, I want to target German agencies, marketing agencies doing sales automation services. What's quite easy with Clay is to target German agencies. easy. But what's not that trivial, that easy, is to know if they do sales automation services or outreach services, or sometimes they say lead generation, but lead generation, what does it mean? Is that inbound, outbound? Is that SEO? Even lead generation doesn't mean anything. So I want to understand and only target people or agencies doing sales automation services. What I did is quite simple for you using Clay. I started using the Clay account segmentation. I started by looking for agencies. I will show you the segmentation. That's easier. Boom. Boom. Let's do this one. Up. So I'm just looking for size between 10 and 100, companies between 10 and 100 in these industries, but nothing fancy. The German agencies, not in real estate, because I've seen a lot of real estate agencies in my list, and I wanted to skip them and include a few keywords that would especially target the agency, but so in German and English. What's more trivial is that now that I have something like 800 agencies, some of them are doing SEO services, some are doing outreach, some are doing something else. What I did is get the data from the domain and ask ChatGPT to customize, to analyze what they did and customize and classify so give me the list of marketing services it provides in the following list. And so I included every possible possible services that they could do as an agency. And I've asked him to return everything in the JSON format and checked the JSON object format. That's useful because I want to use that in the next step. So I'm not asking for text output, but JSON output to use it later on. That's quite simple. I can share the prompt if you need. And in the next step, I will just browse that the marketing services that ChatGPT found to see if they do lead generation or outreach. And in this, so that's quite simple. In this one, I just ask, does the marketing, honestly, I didn't write this JavaScript. I just asked the use AI and ask if you find the lead generation in the services listed, say true. If you don't, say false. And I did the same for the outreach services. And then another formula saying, can you find one or the other? Simple. In this column, I just looked for companies that were not in my CRM. That's easy. I don't want to contact again my already existing customers. And based on that, I just filter only, let me show you, only those companies that are at least one or the other, so at least outreach or lead gen, and not already, sorry, yeah, okay, that's it, and not already targeted, so the companies I don't have as a client. And
Brice, quick thing to add. Somebody was asking this in the chat, but could you show your HubSpot integrations? They wanted to see how you excluded people from your HubSpot. So are you assuming you're just doing a lookup, right? You're just looking to make sure the company's not in your HubSpot at all.
Yeah, I was looking for the domain because our structuration internally is that one company equals one user, and you have multiple people inside a company. And so I was looking for the domain and not one specific person.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, I just connected my HubSpot account and looked for the company domain. I showed you using this, so the filter with this, but in fact, what I really did was, let me show you this, was that I didn't want And I want this table to automatically update. And so what I did is in this column is to add a custom formula here that I don't want you to run if I want you to run and look for the people in this company only if I have found at least one true here. So a true in this column. That's what it says here. In this column, then, well, that's quite easy. I've asked anybody with seniority, high seniority in the company, and pulled the data that I've found previously. Okay. I've then created a custom sentence, a text saying, well, did I find lead generation? Did I find outreach? Did I find both? And I will create a formula that says, if you found lead generation, then say lead gen. If you found outreach, add the end sales automation. Just as easy as this, because I will use this in my sentence later when I will reach out to Peter, to Danny, to Ruth. Then, now that I have the right people, I also wanted to be able to contact them. And so I used Clay cascading enrich. I've looked for every single available providers. So this one is Prospeo, Drop Contact, Datagma. I think it's Find Email, and a few others. And also for the phone, because the phone, wait a second, because I will use the phone on my in my campaign. I've found a few, you can see here, just a few phone, but still that's enough for my for outreaching to those people. And at the end, a last brick that says push those leads to LGM. To do this, I've just set this up. I've connected my account, the audience, and mapped every single field here to a column in LGM. So the LinkedIn URL, the first name, last name, and stuff.
Yeah, and it's also worth noting here that you can add personalization variables as well. So let's say you want to have like, yeah, there it is right there, like a custom attribute of some kind. So if you have, let's say, a series of recommendations you want to send to your prospect that you generated with AI, or maybe a custom intro line, literally anything, you can add those attributes to Glide Growth Machine as well. So it acts the same way as Instantly or Smart Lead would, in the sense that you can add those personalization variables into your campaigns, which is obviously super helpful as well.
Yeah. So these are the basic information: first name, last name, email, phone number. But yeah, you can customize you can create custom attributes and use it for anything from naming your client to, I don't know, in my case, listing the services that I think they will do, etc., etc. When I launch this, it will automatically push the leads inside Glide Growth Machine. Here you are in Glide Growth Machine. The leads are basically pushed in an audience. These are the audience. In this audience, in Glide Growth Machine, the leads are listed in this table. For anybody here, you can see that I have let's take this one. Okay, you can see the lead gen here, the word lead gen. It's the custom attribute number 1 that I just pushed from the Clay table. And you can see that I have something like 14,000 leads in my table. Okay, now...
I'd love to see also, Brice, if you could go back to the flow that you built out.
Yeah, I wanted to focus on this.
Awesome. And
so now, when you create a flow in Glide Growth Machine, so Clay has been has been here to create the source, the data. Now here I can set up the workflow itself, the audience, and I have selected Clay demo 2, the one that we just looked right before. I've also selected my identity. I will contact people from Brice Maurin. For Brice Maurin, I've connected LinkedIn, email, and Twitter, because I will actually activate Twitter also. And then we can set up the content. Let me explain the flow here. As you can see, I've already created the sequence, but when you use Lagos Machine, you can basically create your own flow. You can create, so when it starts, when a lead starts, you can say, select any action that we support, a call, a LinkedIn action, an email, sending an email, tweeting something, retweeting something, anything like this, or even condition, wait, stuff like this.
Yeah, this is what I just quickly, this is what I think is like one of the coolest parts of La Growth Machine is like the amount of different touch points you can have in one campaign are pretty ridiculous. I mean, you can see in this flow, there's like a Twitter follow and favorite. There's a adding a relation. If they don't accept it, you send an email. If they do accept it, you send them a LinkedIn message, then a LinkedIn voice message. Then you call them and you send them another. Like there are so many different touch points. And I think there's a couple reasons that's amazing. The first one is obviously just like if they're more active on email, if they're more active on LinkedIn, they'll see your message. Like so depending on which one they favor. But also I feel as if it almost gives more of a human touch than just sending emails that are personalized. Like if you're sending personalized emails, ideally it still seems like a person wrote them. But it's a lot harder to automate things like this. Like if somebody just reached out to you on email and you didn't respond a day ago and you hit them up on LinkedIn, like I wouldn't think that's automated. Like I've had these flows happen to me, and at the time they happened to me, I did not think they were automated. Like, and it only was until I found the Growth Machine started using it. That's when I found out, like, oh, they would just do it. Like this wasn't them liking my Twitter posts. Like this was a flow, of some kind, which I think is just like ridiculously helpful for converting, especially if you have a small TAM, like a couple, maybe it's, let's say you have like 1,000 people you really want to focus on closing. Like this is so great because it just can do all of these things at once, and it's just like I don't know, it's just a better outreach strategy, I'd say, than just.
In fact, there are three things interesting and that I want to comment here. One, multiplying the channels will multiply your replies. If someone is not active on LinkedIn, then you will send him an email. Maybe he's more active by email. And if he didn't accept you on LinkedIn, maybe, and that's the reason why I'm doing this, I send a connection request here. And right after that, you see that there's no delay on this arrow. Right after that, I will follow him on Twitter and favorite his last. Let me show you this. I will also favorite his last tweet, but I could have selected, I don't know, in this case, I don't know, clients. Any tweet that speak about his clients. So he will see my face 1, 2, 3 times in the same day. That will increase my contact rate acceptation. That's first reason why you get more reply. And then if 7 days after the contact request, he did not accept my contact request, I will switch to email. And so, you get approximately 30 to 40% acceptation rate. 30 to 40% will go to this route. And in the 7 days, we'll receive my first message. But for the rest of them, so 60 to 70%, they will get 1, 2, maybe more. I can say if after 7 days there's no reply, I can add other emails. You can send as many emails you want for this route. But as soon as they accept you on LinkedIn, then I will send them a message. Basically, in this case, I will just say, are you still proposing? And you can see the custom attributes here. So this was the custom attribute 1 was the services, if you remember. And so it says basically, are you still proposing lead gen and sales automation services? Are you still proposing lead gen services and things like this? So you can see that this is just a very small customization. Of course, you can do even better, but this is how Patrick explained that you can customize your icebreaker, for example. This is my first message. Are you still doing this? If 7 days after that, they did not reply, if they reply, I'll start the conversation and start closing or discussing business with them. If they don't, 7 days after that, I will send a voice message. The voice message is quite basic. I can record the voice message right now, clicking this button and say, hello, blah, 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 and and just playing this. Hello, blah, 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 blah. Okay, nothing fancy. And I will send it in LinkedIn. But what's even better is that I can create a custom introduction for each leads. Basically, I will select my voice. So I'll say in English, hello first name, or a first name, hello first name, and record hello, no, not hello, because I already included the hello. So you have to start after that. And say, I wanted to talk to you about blah, 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 anything you want. You just input your message as you would, but just removing the hello, because it will be generated by AI using your voice from this message. I will generate this for the demo. It will use my own first name. So in this case, they will all receive a voice message personalized to their name. And if you think that, I don't know if you will hear that. Hello, Brice. I wanted to talk to you about blah, blah, blah. Anything you want. Hello, yeah. Brice. There's an echo.
That's so cool. I actually love that because it's like,
for the echo.
It like actually sounds pretty convincing too, because it's only the first like couple words as well. So like, I don't know, that's really cool. I like that. Yeah, that was there's an echo here, so it's not perfect, but still you will be able to customize for your 1,000 or more than 1,000 leads each beginning of the message. And honestly, in your voice message, nothing else than the first 2 or 3 words needs to be personalized. After that, in this message, I wanted to say something about the fact that if they propose this service, they probably have this issue, and we can help because blah, blah, blah. I will put a link pointing to Lagros machine right after that. If you click the link, you'll get 30 days free. And right after this, without delay, I will put this message. So this one, here is the link that I mentioned in my voice message. Let me know if you have any questions. So if you are on LinkedIn, you only see voice message followed by this. This is something that if you receive it, you'll probably want to listen to the voice message to understand why I'm telling you this right after the message. And it's proven by the stats. You get approximately 2 times more reply when you use voice messages. After that, I'll wait just 4 days and send another message summarizing what I did. And sending, as a member, it will let you create blah, 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 blah. After that, 7 days later, I'll wait again, and I will have a call task. This is a manual task. So the campaign will pause for this lead, and I will have in this section my tasks, and I will be able to call anyone that has been paused in my sequence. In the tasks, when I reach someone, that's the reason why I enriched the profile with Clay to get the phone. If I reach someone, then I will be able to say if it's been conclusive. If that's conclusive, I stop the sequence. Or inconclusive, I didn't reach to the guy, or he was not interested for now, or anything like this, and just click the button. And he will continue the sequence and will send this message. Of course, you can add more complex scenarios if you want, and more message as much as you want. That's basically it. When as soon as someone replies, we have a few things that happens. First, we detect the OO. So when someone is out of office, we'll pause the sequence, detect the date in the message, and reschedule it 3 days after he comes back to work. Second, I will sync everything with my CRM, meaning that I can reschedule a campaign from HubSpot, in my case, later if they are not interested for today. And third, when they reply to my campaign, I will be able to create a custom exit and say, okay, when they reply on any channel, well, push maybe to a webhook. That's Clay, basically. I will push the lead back to Clay. So that's a basic webhook. If you're using Clay, you probably know what a webhook is. I will push it back to Clay. And so I will just add a check mark and say, okay, this one
worked for me and manage my lead maybe on Clay. If that's not clear for you, let me know. I'll try to answer this.
Yeah, awesome. This was an incredible demo. Again, the voice thing kind of blew me away. I thought that was like an incredible use case for like AI because I think a lot of the time people are hesitant to do like full voice messages or full videos using AI. Like it just doesn't feel as real yet. But like using like like semi-personalized like voice snippets mixed with your actual voice, I think it was such a cool use case. And I figured now we could just kind of go into the questions some people were asking. One of the first ones that I just saw that I figured I would answer is it was like one of the first questions a while back in the chat, but it was just asking if we can explain the differences or like synergies between Logarithmic Machine and Clay. And yeah, and I want to first say that um they're by no means like they're not competitors. I mean, they're like tools that work incredibly well together. Like that's like the whole I would say like the main point here. And so Clay's main benefit is A, enriching data, and B, creating personalizations that you can then use in messaging for tools like log growth machines. So you saw kind of how these flows work already. It sends out a bunch of custom messages to people. But instead of having that be a templated message, you can send out really personalized ones using AI and Clay. So Clay is really good at finding data points on companies and using that data to create AI personalizations based on whatever the company is doing. It could be new jobs that they have. It could be a person just got hired for something. It doesn't really. There's a million data points you can use, but in short, they work together. So Logarithmic Machines does all the message sending and all the sequencing, and Clay does all the data enrichment and the personalization. So it's a really good
Right.
symbiosis between the
To
two.
me, you can create your database on Clay and manage your leads on Clay. And so start on Clay, continue, engage, converse with Lagos machine, and then push back to Clay to continue enriching. And maybe just as an example, if I want to push to a specific table only those who replied, I can understand who replied the most and enrich them again, find similarities directly on Clay and push them and look for lookalike, create a lookalike about the leads that replied and push them back to LGM.
Yeah, exactly. All right, sweet. Another one of the questions I got, Brice, it'd probably be better for you to answer this one, but how many email accounts and how many LinkedIn accounts can be connected to Log Growth Machine at once? I think a lot of people were asking that because they don't know, like how many, does it work the same as Smart Lead? Do you connect a bunch of accounts? Do you just do your personal one? So how does that usually work?
In fact, you can, we manage the leads by identities. So you can connect as many identities as you want. As you see in my account, I have quite a few. And for each account, you have to connect your Google, your Twitter, Google, Twitter, or Google or email, Twitter and LinkedIn account.
Awesome. Sweet. Yeah, I was when I was playing around with the tool, I remember creating the identities. I thought that was a really cool move. Especially because you could just
Oh,
create a bunch of you identities if you wanted to. Oh yeah, and then there's obviously the Unibox, just how Smart Lead works.
yeah,
Kind of
that's
getting.
the multi-channel. Yeah, basically that's the inbox, but it's just not just a regular inbox. It's a LinkedIn plus email inbox. So you manage both LinkedIn and email at the same place.
Yeah, for sure. So someone just asked, can you import email content from Clay? I.e., you've had Clay write
Yes.
fully personalized messages per person. Is there a way to import this content? Yeah. So as he showed earlier in the demo, there's actually a log growth machine integration in Clay. So you can add all of the information and all the personalizations that you created within Clay into log growth machine and then reference them in your messaging. So yeah, the thing what he's showing you right now is how you add those different custom attributes.
Once
Um,
you've created a lead and pushed a lead into Lagos machine, you've sync this custom attribute with the lead this column, the column here. Okay. In Lagos machine, you have to go inside the template and open any template. Or let's say this one, and input here. You can say variables, and you see all the variables that are available to you for the lead and for the identity connecting with the people. And basically, I just select this one, and this is the sentence that have been created in Clay.
for sure. One more question I had personally, and I think probably I see a couple of chats as well, kind of asking the same thing, but what would your recommendation be for how many messages to send for each channel? Because I think a lot of people are thinking to themselves, like, you can send, with given the amount of email accounts that you can send out 1,000 emails a day if you wanted to, right? But with one LinkedIn account, you can obviously only send out like maybe a couple hundred
Yes.
messages. Same with Twitter, you can only send so many DMs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, oh, yeah, I see somebody, and I also just sent out a link in the chat, kind of looking through the different limits. But like, how does it generally manage that? Can you set the limits yourself? Like, how does that work?
Alors, I reply to the question and discuss about something else right after. Basically, here on a specific identity, you can define the limits and the working hours. So in my case, I work every day, but for the limits, you can define your own limits and say, okay, for Twitter, I just want to say 50, send 50 a day or send a lot more. And for email, this or that, and for LinkedIn, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you can set your own limits. What's interesting in what you said, Patrick, is that LinkedIn limits the number of actions per day. It's not the same for email. Email, well, basically you can send a lot more email, or maybe you don't. I don't know how many emails you send per identity. But in our case, we recommend to send less than 150 a day. It's not because we are not safe enough. It's because you'll be detected quite easily.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Awesome. All right, sounds good. Trying to go through some of the other questions.
One point before your question about the TAM, basically. How many leads should I contact and can I contact? That's more or less related to the previous question. If you plan to target dozens of thousands of prospects, LinkedIn is probably not the right channel for you. Email is probably better. If your TAM is quite, I wouldn't say small, but your TAM is less than 5 or less than 50,000 people, you want to convert everybody because you don't have the choice. You have to convert everybody if your TAM is small. TAM is total addressable market, if anyone didn't know. So if your market is small, you have to get 100% replies. Our tool is more focused on this use case, reaching to 100% of your TAM and getting 100% of replies. That's why we created multi-channels. That's why we included voice message. That's why everything we do is to focus on increasing your reply rate. To the difference of compared to Smart Lead and Instantly, Smart Lead and Instantly are more focused on helping you reach out to your large market as fast as possible.
Yes, exactly. I
It's
tell
not the
people
same
the
paradigm.
exact thing. Like when I'm on sales calls, and people are asking me like which tools are you planning on using, when doing outreach. It really is completely dependent on TAM, as he mentioned. Like again, like if you are reaching out to hundreds of thousands of people, definitely use some of those email sequencing tools instead. But again, Lock Machine is great for smaller TAMs because again, the conversion rate is significantly higher with multi-channel. But of course, it takes more time to set up and more time to implement because of the limitations imposed by LinkedIn or Twitter. Awesome. So one other question I saw that I thought was kind of interesting is, will the audio message look like it's recorded on LinkedIn, or does it send MP3 or MP4
No.
files?
No. It's exactly the same as if you send it manually.
Awesome. All right, sweet. That was just like one I had, and then let's see, there's some other ones. I saw that one already. Let's see. This guy asked, as an agency, can I have different accounts for each customer with different campaigns on different accounts with an
Yes.
easy overview of not all customers under all? And if I got it right, I send all the emails over one connected mail account. I can send mails. So I think he's just asking, like, is there like an agency view? Like, can you connect his like different customers?
It's really it's one of our focus as we speak. We are working not on a single view. Maybe that's the question. We are not working on a single view because if we had a single view, what would we do about the leads that are in your client 1 and client 2? So we're working on, and that's something that probably most of you know, we're working on workspaces. And so here, you'll be able to change, select your company A, click and move to your client B. This will be available in the next few weeks.
Awesome. Yeah, that's been really helpful. And it's honestly one of the main reasons for email I use Smartly, just because I think just like they have really good agency view.
Yeah.
So that's super helpful. Let's see. A lot of the questions are revolving the limitations, but we kind of already talked about that. And I see Anais also just being really.
Can I ask, and feel free to take the mic, who among you address a large versus a not so large addressable market? I'd
So
like
you're
to
asking
understand
who
in the
has like a
audience.
smaller addressable market?
Yeah, I mean, the use case is really different between using a tool to get 3% reply, but mass approach everybody in 3 months instantly, or target a smaller market, but reach 20% replies in 3 months. You see?
Yeah, so I'm assuming like the strategy's got to be a lot more like granular for those more like those 20% reply campaigns, right? Like it's just like
Oh, not much, in fact. It's just that the segmentation is smaller, meaning that one campaign, usually our users, we have approximately 10,000, even more than 10,000 people tried us. They create campaigns with less than 500 people inside. That's very small for a US-based company, I guess. But 500 means that it's already segmented, meaning that the message doesn't need to be that personalized. The segmentation is already so thin that the message is already relevant to everybody in the audience. And so they usually create multiple campaigns with less customizations.
yeah, for sure. Are there any chances that LinkedIn accounts could be banned? And because I've heard that a lot of tools, like a lot of LinkedIn sending tools can get accounts banned. And also I think it's important because I know we talked about this, Brice, when I was like just using the product myself.
Yeah.
What you guys do to prevent that from happening, because that was kind of what sold me on the tool myself. Is like the system you guys have, because it's such a big problem. I mean, just the amount of times I've seen a LinkedIn tool and I'm like, that's going to get me banned by using that, right? Like that's like the biggest concern of mine. So obviously an important question.
Yeah. Yes, of course, it's secure. If you don't have don't have a LinkedIn account anymore, you can't reach out, and we won't match our promise. So what we do is that we created a widget that's called the Lagos machine. Well, that's a software that you install in your computer that will be a local browser, and this browser will do every LinkedIn action, meaning that every action that you do will be performed from your computer on your IP address with your setup. And so on the LinkedIn side, they don't see anything. That's exactly the same as if you were doing the action yourself. That's a very different approach than any LinkedIn tool using extensions, for example, Chrome extensions, where they inject stuff in LinkedIn and LinkedIn that can detect that. We have a safer approach. You install basically the Lagos machine browser. That's basically a small tool that will stay here in your computer, on top of your computer, and do every action for you. Doing this, we have less than 1% of people that's been touched by the ban wave in January. I don't know if some of you has been touched by this wave in January, but LinkedIn banned a lot of accounts in January, and that's not the case for us. We only got like less than 1% of warning, not even ban, just warning, when lots of tools have been largely hurt because LinkedIn detected their user used a LinkedIn automation tool.
Yeah, and it's also worth mentioning because somebody asked, is still a cloud-based tool, and you do have a cloud widget, correct? I remember we were talking
We
about
also
this
have a
because
cloud, and for the clouds, what we do is to keep the same security level. What we do is to use the same security measure that you use when you want to automate Instagram. For those of you who already did Instagram automation, that's really difficult. And there are only one way to do this, using 4G, basically phone proxies. And so your identity will be run on a phone. And so you can move from one point to another, and LinkedIn cannot detect that. It's
Awesome.
the safest way to automate this.
Yeah, for sure. Mark asks, can I send LinkedIn messages with personalized salutations or just hi? Yeah, you can actually just do this in Clay also. Like you can just use a formula to create personalized greetings, and like Growth Machine has one.
Basically you can do it in Clay, of course, or in the content here, you just say there's a variable, sorry, that's named gender or long gender. Gender is M or MR, basically Mr. or Mrs. And long gender is Mr. or Mrs. in long.
Ooh, sweet, awesome. Let's see. Are the LinkedIn messages through Sales Navigator in mails, or is the messaging only to first degree connections?
For on LinkedIn, you cannot send messages to second degree. And that's the reason why in this sequence, I will start by sending a contact request. And if they accept, I will send my message. If they don't, I will send an email.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I think that's what it's honestly so great about multi-channel as well. Because let's say, for example, you're only using a LinkedIn automation tool, like you're not even gonna be able to reach out to a majority of the people because they won't accept your connection request. Whereas with like Growth Machine, it like it just routes you to a different tool. Like it routes you to Twitter, or routes you to email, so you can send them a message of some kind somewhere, which I think is really helpful. All right. Let's see. As an agency, oh no, okay, cool. Nice already answered this, but yeah, yes, as an agency, does our client need to share their LinkedIn password with us? And yeah, the answer for that is a nice just answered is no. Because I was actually implementing Growth Machine for one of our clients in my agency, and that's kind of why I happened to call with Brice and I was asking him all these questions about like the agency relations. Like, no, you can just add them. There's other ways to add them.
Yeah, basically you can send a guest invite in your account, including your client. And so you create an account for your client, for example, and invite them. You don't pay for invitation, of course. It's just they're just here to see what you wrote, see what you send, see the stats, and connect their identities.
Yep, exactly. And then someone else to clarify for each profile, are you able to connect, like for each identity, are you able to connect multiple emails, or is it one email per identity right now?
One email per identity.
Okay, got it. Cool. And then somebody's asking, can you re-explain how you categorize the agencies? This is back to the Clay question.
Yes, of course.
When you're categorizing each one.
What I wanted to know is I don't speak German, ChatGPT does. I want to understand if they do. I will just go back to this. What I say is give me the list of, so I will give him the content of the description of the company, and I want him to categorize this into the different marketing services that an agency can provide. Inbound marketing, lead generation, emailing, data analysis, ads, anything that basically a marketing agency can do, because those are all marketing agencies. And if he doesn't, just reply no.
Somebody asked, is that the description of the meta description? It's their description. So we're using their LinkedIn description to do this. We enrich them using an enrichment in Clay. And that once you use that enrichment integration within Clay, it gives you the company's LinkedIn description, and you use that to categorize it. I believe that's correct, right? Right, Brice?
That's correct.
Awesome. And then somebody asked, do you have a white label solution for agencies? Customer doesn't know I'm working with this tool.
No, we don't. That's a question that we've been asked in the US more than in Europe. That's not something that we've been used to in the past, but get in touch with me when we can discuss.
Awesome. And then Samuel also asked, so can we use the same categorization method to use a person's resume to categorize a person? And the answer is yes. I mean, what we're really doing is just using OpenAI at scale. So like anything you can do in ChatGPT, you can do here. It's just using it in a spreadsheet as opposed to using it one time. So we're just applying it at scale.
And in this case, it's I'm not asking to write something, but to categorize in a list. That's what I don't know. That's what should be noted here. I don't want him to be creative. I just want him to reply in a list.
Yes, that is, I would say rarely do you want ChatGPT to be that creative for anything.
Definitely.
And then Missy asked, can you do pretty much just like, can you do the same thing for subject lines that you're doing for personalizing emails? Which is yes, you can personalize your subject line as well.
Yeah.
I would say best practice is to not make your subject line too complicated, but I do use it sometimes. Like I would put like the company name in the subject line or something. But
in fact, we see that the smaller the subject is, the higher the open rate. So
yeah,
personalizing is not always a good idea.
yeah, I completely agree. Like make your subject line simple. I think people overthink them far too much. Another thing that I heard recently, and maybe you can, I just thought this was like a fun tip that I heard in one of my past webinars that I thought was kind of crazy is when you're making connection requests, I've heard it actually is, it's worse for you to send a message with your connection request than to just send
Interesting.
a connection request, which is kind of crazy. But I heard that you get banned or you get throttled earlier by LinkedIn because I guess LinkedIn's like, if you're sending a message with your request, they just assume you're selling them something, you know? So like they throttle you
There are
now.
two aspects. One, yes, LinkedIn, even last year, they tested something. They tested a new plan where you were not able, when you used LinkedIn regular, you were not able to send more than 100 invitation per month if you
Wow.
add a text in your
Wow.
note, a note. And you could add more if you had zero notes. So just a blank invitation. So yes, they monitor if you send or not a connection request. To us, we usually say that it's better not to include one, not because of this, not because they monitor this. And so we can see here that I didn't include an event note. I just decided not to include anything. And that's not because LinkedIn monitors this. It's because our stat says that you'll get more. Um, um, well, you can include, if you include an invitation note, you will get less acceptation, but more closing. If you don't, you get more acceptation. I'm not sure if I was clear. No invite, more acceptation. You add a note, you get less, but it's more straightforward, and you'll probably close more.
Yeah, it's an interesting balance for sure. I thought that was just such a because I always would just assume that like they would want you to send a message, but it's not completely the case. It's like kind of the case. But yeah, awesome. Any other questions anybody else has? Um, Obviously happy to answer them. I think this has been, I mean, I've learned a lot about Lockroad Machine just being here and I'm hosting it. So, hopefully you guys did as well. Um, Cool. If nobody else has anything else, let's I guess we can just go ahead and wrap it up. But again, I appreciate you coming on, Brice, and it was incredibly informative. And I appreciate everybody who came and asked questions in the chat. It's much appreciated, and I'm sure people had the same questions as you. I mean, I had half the questions you guys were asking. So anyway, I really appreciate it, guys. And yeah, we're probably gonna be hosting another one of these quite soon. And yes, thank you, Nico. I will not forget to send the recording out. I will send it in a text blast to everybody who attended this, right after this. So appreciate it, guys. Whatever the recording process is, we're good to go. All right. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.